Good morning, dear students. Today the topic is dynamometers. So, what is the mean of dynamometer? That means it is a device to measuring of the frictional torque. Okay, frictional torque, and it will be arranged nearer to the our brakes. So now it is also classified two types. Those are the absorption dynamometers and transmission dynamometers. So absorption dynamometer is again classified two types: Prony brake dynamometer and rope brake dynamometers. So absorption dynamometer generally it is consisting of the brake, okay, form of a brakes, and it will provision is made for measuring the frictional torque on the drum. Frictional torque on the drum. So absorption is there. The absorption dynamometer means simply to say that how much of power is developed when we are applying the brakes. That power, okay, that total power is, okay, so converted into, okay, generally that power is converted, that frictional force, so that frictional resistance is converted into the heat, and the heat is dissipated to the environment. That means it cannot be utilized. Okay, it will be wasted. How much of frictional resistance or frictional torque is produced when we are applying the brake, it will be wasted. So now absorption is also again classified two types. Already I told that. So those are the Prony brake dynamometer and rope brake dynamometer. Coming to the Prony brake dynamometer, so just all of you observe the diagram. Prony brake dynamometer, so it is consisting of the two wooden blocks and around the fixed pulley of an engine. Fixed pulley to the shaft of an engine of the, okay, fixed pulley. And now these two wooden blocks, okay, placed up, okay, uh, placed upon the our pulley shaft or pulley shaft upon, and one block is, okay, put it on the lower side of the pulley, and another block is put it on the upper side of the pulley. And these two wooden blocks are, okay, tightened by the help of bolt, nut and springs. Tightened by the our bolts, nuts and springs. So, and the lower wooden block will have the one lever. Okay, so that lever, one end is carrying the our weights, and another end is carries the some balancing weight. And this lever, uh, what is the weights are carried, so that dead weight, what is the dead weights are carrying another side, right side. So that side, that is that lever end is also having the two stoppages, two stops are there. So the lever is also placed between the those two stops. So that is the okay, arrangement is there in our Prony brake dynamometer. Now here all of you observe that how we measure the our power of the engine. So in this, so the long end of the lever is loaded with the known weight. So what is the lever is there? That lever is loaded with the known weight. That is the capital W. Just observe that. That is the capital W. So that is the capital W is there. Just you will observe that capital W. Okay. And now the nuts are tightened. Now all of you observe that the nuts are tightened. Tightened when the shaft runs at a constant speed. Okay. When we are arranging the our dead weight, okay, that is the some known weight W. So then we may also make that, that is the tightening of the our nuts. Okay. So when we are tightening the nuts, then up to where up to when we are tightening the nuts, then the shaft is running at a constant speed and the lever end is having the horizontal position. Okay, lever end is also having horizontal position. So up to there you may also, okay, nuts are tighten or loosen. Okay, that is there. And now the condition is the torque due to the weight capital W will balance the frictional torque on the pulley due to the frictional resistance between the blocks and the pulley. So here the frictional torque on the pulley due to frictional resistance between the blocks and the pulley is there. Uh, okay, that is balanced with the help of our frictional resistance. Okay, that frictional torque. Okay, frictional torque on the pulley. So that is there. Now the moment due to the weight W will be equals to the frictional torque, will be equals to the frictional torque. So when it will be balanced, generally when we are when we take the our okay weight, so that will be balanced with the help of our frictional torque. Okay, frictional torque. So now all of you observe that, now all of you observe that. So So here you will have the small okay portions are there, calculation portions. Just observe that before going to that portion. So we will know the notations. So those are the W weight at the end of the lever, capital R radius of the pulley, mu coefficient of friction, and L, just all of you observe the diagram. L is the our horizontal distance of the weight from the center of the pulley, and n speed of the shaft in rpm. Now torque on the shaft, so torque on the shaft T equals to load into our perpendicular distance. So that is the load is how much of load are carrying at the end of the lever, W, capital W, into distance is the L. Now power of the engine, so power of the engine means, so torque into our speed, angular speed. So that is the torque value capital D and angular speed represented with omega. So then omega is also replacing with 2 pi n by 60. So then the values are WL into 2 pi n by 60 when we substituted the T value in our equation. So this is the our power of the engine. So here one of the condition is there, that is the power of the engine is independent of the, okay, so the power of the engine is independent uh, of the pulley. So then this is following the some factors. Those are the radius of the pulley, that is the one of the thing is there, coefficient of friction between the pulley and wooden blocks. Okay, pulley and the wooden blocks, coefficient of friction between the pulley and wooden blocks, and pressure exerted by the tightening the nuts. Those are, okay, pressure exerted by the tightening the nuts. So those are there. Okay, so those are the okay, these are not okay, values are not affecting the particular power of the engine. So now going to next topic. So that is the another type. So rope brake dynamometer, rope brake dynamometer. So just observe the diagram, rope brake dynamometer. Just brake, rope brake dynamometer. Just observe that. So here, if you will observe the diagram, rope brake dynamometer, it is consisting of, yeah, it is consisting of the one or two ropes around the rim of the pulley, around the rim of the pulley. This is the, okay, rope is there. This is all. This is the rope. So that rope is around the rim of the pulley, and the upper end of the rope is just observe that. upper end of the rope is attached to the spring balance, and the lower end of the rope is carrying the dead weight. Okay, these ropes are spaced. These ropes are spaced evenly across the. Okay, these ropes are spaced with the wooden blocks. Spaced with the our wooden blocks. So here we may also use the 4 wooden blocks at different points. One is there and 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 points are there. So this is the arrangement is there in our rope brake dynamometer. So when we are measuring of the power of the engine, so then the engine is made to run at constant speed. So then the engine, that means that this shaft is runs at a, this pulley is runs, flywheel is also runs with a constant speed. So then the torque transmitted by the engine must be equals to frictional torque due to the ropes. That is already known. So how much of torque is transmitted to the engine? That must be equals to the frictional torque due to the ropes. So now we are also having the small calculation part here. So that is the arrangement is there. Now let us know the our notations. So those are the N constant speed of the engine, and W dead weight, and S spring balance, and capital D dia of the flywheel, and small d dia of the rope. So now we are taking to be net load on the brake. Net load. So net load means how much of weight is applied here. So that is the capital W, and that is subtracting with the our spring balance weight. So that is the minus S. Okay, W minus S. Spring balance is okay subtracting of our dead weight. So that is the net load on the brake. Now going to write the our frictional torque due to the ropes. So that is the our net load into net load on the brake into distance of the load line from the center of the shaft. So frictional torque, that means the value is there. Okay, load into our distance, perpendicular distance. So that is the our load value is the W minus is into distance. So distance of the load line from the center of the shaft. So that is the capital D pulley of the rim, pulley of the diameter plus dia of the rope by 2. That is the average of that one. So then torque transmitted by the engine at constant speed. So it is also similar to that one. W minus S into capital D plus small d by 2. Frictional torque due to the ropes. So therefore, brake power of the engine equals to torque transmitted by the engine into angular speed of the engine. So how much of the torque is there? So that is the value W minus S into W capital D plus small d by 2 into omega. Omega is replacing with 2 pi n by 60 next step. So then the value is W minus S into capital D plus small d by 2 into 2 pi n. So now going to write the okay one condition, that is the when the rope dia is neglected. When the rope dia is neglected in our equation. So then the brake power of the engine equals to W minus S into capital D by 2 into 2 pi n by 60. So it may also written as capital W minus S into R into 2 pi n by 60 watts. Okay, so this is there, and in this one condition is also there. They may also arranging the cooling. They may also arranging the cooling system of our rope brake dynamometer. So if the brake power of the engine is very large, so it may also produces the more friction between the rope and our flywheel. So then for cooling then we may also okay, then we may also arranging the our cooling system for reducing the friction levels between the rope to the flywheel. So that is also there. In this, the cooling is also given to the pulley. One side is also arranging the okay to cool the our okay to cool one side is also sending the our cooling, okay, sending the water to the one channel section, and another channel side that cold water, okay, the cold water supplied at the one point and removed at the another section, another channel section. So the water is also wetted to the our rim and our rope. So that is also happen in our particular system. Now observe that we may also have a small problem. So just all of you observe that. Calculate the brake power of the engine, which is running at a constant speed of 300 rpm and carries a rope brake dynamometer. It is belongs to the rope brake dynamometer. The dead weight of the engine and the spring balance readings are 550 newtons and 100 newtons respectively. The dia of the flywheel and rope are 1.8 meters and 18.75 mm respectively. So now from the problem description, we will write the our given values. N is there, N 300 rpm, W is the 550 newtons and S is the 100 newtons, capital D 1.8 meters, small d 0.01875 meters. So in this a problem, just directly to substitute the our brake power formula. So that is the brake power of the engine equals to W minus S into capital D plus small d by 2 into 2 by 60. So just substituted all the values. So when we substituted the values, we may also get the value that is the our 12,856 watts. It may also write 12.85 kilowatts. Okay, so that is the our okay. So the value is 12.856 watts. Now going to next one, transmission dynamometer. So transmission dynamometer point of view, so transmit. So so that means how much of frictional torque is producing when we are applying the brakes. That frictional torque is also utilized. So that means how much of power is produced. So that power, okay, is not wasted. It will also makes the some work. It will also make the some work or some functions. So it may also happen in our transmission dynamometer. So these are the this is also measuring device. And now it is again classified three types. Those are the epicyclic dynamometer and belt transmission dynamometer and torsion dynamometer. So now coming to the our first, let us tell the our epicyclic dynamometer. So epicyclic dynamometer, just you will observe the diagram. Epicyclic dynamometer is here. So when we observe that, so the it is consisting of the our epicyclic train of gears are there in this uh, okay, just observe that in this spur gear A is there and intermediate gear C and annulus gear or internal gear D is there. So the internal gear is having the internal teeth. Okay, this is the annulus gear. That means gear D is having the internal teeth and pinion gear C is there and spur gear A is there. So what is the system is there? So that is the epicyclic train of gears. Epicyclic means one gear is fixed here when the gear A is fixed and the gear C upon and around the gear A. So that that system is known as epicyclic gear train. So now all of you observe. So in this we are also having the one lever or lever arm is there. That lever arm is passes through the our and connected with the our gears also. So gears. So all of you observe that lever is fixed to the that lever end is pivoted at the point E. That lever is the pivoted to the point E. So that is there. And lever end is placed between the two stops. Yes, stops are there. That is also two stops are there. In this this side Okay, right side W, dead weight, it is also carrying the dead weight, and left side it may also have the balancing weight is also there. So that okay, pivots or fulcrum is there at E. So these are the parts are involved in our system. Now coming to the our this point of view, okay, working principle point of view. So when the dynamometer is in operation, so then it will produces the okay some tangential forces. The tangential force exerted by the wheel A and C, gear wheel A and gear wheel C, so that is the F, tangential force F will be producing, and similarly to produce the gear wheel C and gear wheel D, so that is the F. So F and F between the okay tangential forces okay occurred at the our gear wheels, occurred between the gear wheels, that is the F and F. Totally 2F force is occurring in our okay gear wheels. So now that force, that 2F force is acting on the lever, is also tends to when the this force tends to rotate the lever arm acting through the axis of the wheel C, axis of the wheel C is 2F. So how much of force is developed here? Tangential force. So that force, that 2F force is acting at the center of the our okay our C, okay, our gear wheel C, gear wheel C. So now this is the force okay acting on the lever. 2F force is acting on the lever at the center of the pinion. So then just observe that torque due to the torque. Now we may calculate the torque due to the force, torque due to the force 2F on the arm will be 2F on the arm will be 2F into A. So how much of torque is okay is there? So that force, simply to take that force into distance. That means how much of force is there? 2F into distance is the A. So then this torque is balanced by the torque due to the dead weight. So this is balanced with the okay torque due to the dead weight. So that dead weight value is how much? W, and the perpendicular distance is L. So that is the okay system will happen in our particular epicyclic train dynamometer. Now when we are equilibrium condition, when we take the equilibrium condition, so when we are taking the equilibrium condition, so that means just observe that, just observe that equilibrium of the lever R. So torque due to the force, that is the 2F into A equals to W into L. 2F into A plus equals to W into L. From that, F equals to WL by 2A. F equals to WL by 2A. So now torque transmitted by the engine. Torque transmitted by the engine. So torque transmitted by the engine means, simply to write it here, force into distance. That force value is how much? WL by 2A into R is there. R is the okay value is there. R, capital R. R is the radius of wheel A. Radius of wheel A. Now power value. Now we may also okay write the power transmitted on the engine. So that is the torque transmitted into omega, angular speed. So angular speed, angular velocity. So then that means WL by 2A into R into 2 pi n by 60. So that is the our epicyclic transmission dynamometer. Here all of you observe that what are the gears are involved here. So then when the just observe that how to transmit the power. Okay, so that transmits the power means, so just all of you observe that The spur gear A will rotates this anti-clockwise direction. So then it will transmit the power from A to pinion gear C, and the pinion gear is also transmit the power to the gear wheel D. Gear wheel D. Okay. So when the system is in our okay stationary or okay when the system is in our stationary mode, then it may also makes that it will try to okay balance the our particular lever by the help of balance weight, our balanced weight. So that is there. So this is the our transmission, sorry, uh, epicyclic transmission dynamometer. And now going to see that belt transmission dynamometer. So just all of you observe the arrangement of belt transmission dynamometer. Mainly they are also usage of the two pulleys. Okay, main pulleys are two. Those are the one is acting as the driving pulley and another one is acting as the driven pulley. And those two are utilizing supporting pulleys are there. Those are the intermediate pulleys C and D. C and D. So and now they may also now we may also take the one lever. That lever is also pivoted at the E, and that lever is also passes through the our okay C and D pulleys also. C and D pulleys, and the lever will carries one side dead weight, and that lever end is also between the two stops. Between the two stops. Yes, yes, stops are there. Two stops, and another end is carrying with the balancing weight. So now when we are having the our okay belts, now we will also give the belt system to the belt system okay belt system passes through the our particular pulleys. So when we are okay arranging the belt, okay when we are arranging the belt to the our driving pulley to the driven pulley, okay, and that is also uh, crosses to the our intermediate pulleys, that is the D and C. So that is the system, just observe that. So tight side and slack sides, just observe it. Tight side and slack sides are there. So here, so T1, so tension T1, so that is the our tension T1 is there. This is the tight side. This is acting as the tight side of the our particular tension T1. That means why? Because the driving pulley, that means the shaft is rotating anti-clockwise direction. Then it will acting as the tight side, and this one will acting as the our T2 side. This one will acting as the our slack side. Okay, slack side. So then all of you observe that how to transmit the motion from one position to another position. So then all of you observe that when the driving pulley is rotating anti-clockwise direction, it may also transmit the tension. Okay, it may also transmit the motion from driving pulley A to the our intermediate pulley D. So with the help of our tensions, that is the T1 tension is there, and that may also makes that, and later it may also transmit the power to the our driven pulley. Okay, and again it may also pass it the our some tension, okay, slack side, that is the pulley C. And when we are arranging the some dead weight to the our right side lever, so then that will be balanced when we are running of the our engine, and the engine is also having with the angular sorry constant speed. When the when when it will also makes the okay uh, clock anti-clockwise direction with the constant speed, while it may also okay while the system is in stationary mode, that means the pulley or the driving pulley or shaft are in stationary. So then what is the weight will be carrying here at the right side? So that is trying to balancing of the our balancing weight. So to the left side portion. So that is there. So now how much of tension okay is there between the our pulleys. So those are the T1 of the T1 on the tight sides and T2 on the our okay slack sides. And here uh, 2T1, we have the 2T1, okay, 2T1 tensions are there between the our okay this one to this one, driving pulley to driven pulley. Tension on the tight side is also 2T1 tension is there between the driving to driven pulley, and 2T2 tension is there between the our driving to driven pulley of the slack side. So that is that tension is also there. Now when the lever is in horizontal position, the total moments of all forces about fulcrum capital E should be 0. So they may said that when the lever is in horizontal position, that means that will be balanced. Okay. So then the moments of all forces about the fulcrum capital E should be 0. So then total anti-clockwise moment, so momentum. So then total clockwise moments, just they will take the momentums to the anti-clockwise direction to the clockwise directions. Those are the 2T1 into small a. So why? Because um distance between the our tensions. So that means the our pulley D tension, okay, and pulley C tensions. AA is there, and L distance from the dead weight to the our pivoted point. So now you will observe that momentum at the pivoted point capital E. So that is the 2T1 into A equals to 2T2 into A plus WL. So now when we are simplifying the equation, then you may also write that T1 minus T2 equals to WL by 2A. T1 minus T2 equals to WL by 2A. So now they may also write that power of the engine. So why? Because tension, okay, already calculated here, tensions. So that is the tensions, okay, between the our tight side and the slack sides. So that is the T1 minus T2 WL by 2A is there. Then power of the engine equals to T1 minus T2 into V. Okay, belt speed. So then T1 minus T2 into V means it is also similarly to write it as pi dn by 60. Just substituted the value. So this is the power of the engine of the okay rope brake dynamometer. So that is sorry, belt transmission dynamometer. So that is the belt transmission dynamometer here. Now last one, observe the torsion dynamometer. So torsion dynamometer, so observe that it may also follows the okay, it may also working on the principle of torsion. So that means when we are twisting of the our when we are twisting the our shaft, so then you may also get the some okay torsion. So that may also to take that torsional equation directly, to take it as that torsional equation, T by J equals to C theta by L. Already known the values. Already known the values. So that is the T by J equals to C theta by L. So similarly to write it here, 10 torque value T equals to C theta by L into J. So J is also substituting here, pi by 32 into D naught power 4 minus D by power 4 for the hollow shafts, while solid shaft pi by 32 D power 4. So T equals to K theta. They may also write it is T equals to K theta. Why? Because C, J, L all are considered as the constants. So that means torque transmitted is proportional to angle of twist theta. Torque transmitted to the angle of twist theta. So that is the our torsion point of view. And here What type of the dynamometer is there? That is taken as the Bevis Gibson flashlight torsion dynamometer. They may also take the Bevis Gibson flashlight torsion dynamometer. So when we are observing the particular type of torsion dynamometer, just it is consisting of the two discs between the our shaft. Okay, sorry, between the between the shaft. So that two discs also follows the some distance. So that is the A. That discs are also calling as one is okay, taken as the capital A, and another one is the capital B. Those discs are fixed on a shaft. Fixed on a shaft. So in this, the shafts are also having the slot, okay, parallel to the our shaft. Okay, A is there and B both are having the some slots. Okay, so here just observe that each disc has a narrow radial slot, and slot and the lamp and the two slots are in line. When there is no torque transmitted along the shaft A, along the shaft, a powerful electrical lamp L is fixed to the bearing cap of the shaft behind A, and the lamp is masked. So, uh, so as to throw the so as to so throw a narrow pencil of light parallel to the axis of the shaft. So this lamp has a slot directly opposite to the slot of disc A. The eyepiece E is fitted to the shaft bearing. This capable of slides are covered and shielding system. Okay, the discs A and B are having the slots. Those are the okay at the uh, upon a disc they may also have the slots. So and in this the slot is also okay. The slot narrow slot is there. That narrow slot is uh, is is there, and we will arrange the lamp behind behind the disc A. Okay, behind the disc A, and the that is also having with mask, having with the mask, and our disc B is also attached to the eyepiece, is also attached with the eyepiece, is also attached with the eyepiece. And now the light is passes through the slot, okay, from disk A to disk B, from disk A to disk B. When the shaft is in stationary mode, when the shaft is in stationary mode, the lamp has a slot directly opposite to the slot of disk B. When the shaft is at rest, the eyepiece is adjusted to receive the ray of the light which passes from the lamp through the slots in the two discs. And when the shaft is rotated without transmitting the any torque, a ray of light will be received in the eyepiece once per revolution from figure B, from figure B. And another condition, but when the shaft is rotating and torque is transmitted, the shaft towards and the slot in the disc capital B sides its position, and the ray of light does not reach to the eyepiece as shown in our from figure C. From figure C it may also happen. Now the eyepiece is displaced along the circular arc, along the circular arc to be an amount equal to the lag of the disc capital B by means of vernier. The ray of light will be visible. The ray of light will be visible on eyepiece from figure C. From that, angular displacement of eyepiece and the angular displacement hence angular displacement of eyepiece and therefore angle of twist of the shaft, angular displacement of the eyepiece and the angle of the twist of the shaft may be measured by the help of vernier, that is the 1/100th of the degree, 1/100th of the degree, that is that much of accuracy is also made by the help of particular arrangement. This is the our Bevis Gibson flashlight, Bevis Gibson flashlight torsion dynamometer. Okay, all of you understand, guys? So already he covered dynamometers topic. So that is the two types of dynamometers are there: absorption dynamometer and transmission dynamometer. And again, those are also classified absorption point of view, Prony brake dynamometer and rope brake dynamometer. And transmission dynamometer point of view, three types are there: epicyclic transmission dynamometer, and belt transmission dynamometer, and a torsion dynamometer. So those are already covered. So if you are having any queries, please ask me. Now we are going to another topic, that is the third chapter, third unit, inertia for, okay, turning moment diagram. Before going to okay, the topic, let us discuss the basics, that is the inertia forces in reciprocating parts. Some dynamic analysis of slider crankchain mechanism is also there. So now inertia forces in reciprocating parts. So inertia means, how we say that? So that means simply to say that it is a property of a matter by virtue of which a body resists the any change in velocity. Which a body resists the any change in velocity. And inertia force means it is an imaginary force when acts upon a when acts upon a rigid body, it will brings the body in an equilibrium position. Brings the body in an equilibrium position. It is also equivalent to, inertia force is also equals to accelerating force of the magnitude, but opposite in direction. Accelerating force of the magnitude, but opposite in direction. Therefore inertia force is also Fi, it may also represent Fi equals to minus accelerating force. Accelerating force value is the Ma minus Ma. It is taken as the equation number 1. And similarly, to write here, inertia torque equals to minus I into alpha, that is taken as the equation number 2. So from the D'Alembert's principle, it may also state that the resultant force acting on a body together with the inertia force are in equilibrium. So that is the D'Alembert's principle is there. Resultant force acting on a body together with the inertia force are in equilibrium. That means F suffix R, resultant force is represented with F suffix R, plus inertia is F suffix I equals to 0, taken as the equation number 3. According to the Newton's second law of motion, the resultant force is also equals to the product of mass of the body and acceleration of the center of the mass of the body. So that means F suffix R equals to M into A. So Fr minus Ma equals to 0. It may also written as Fr minus Ma equals to 0. That means minus Ma means it may also written as Fi. Fr plus Fi equals to 0. So what they said in our statement, that will be proved here. So that is the Fr plus Fi equals to 0. So similarly, to write it here, Tr plus Ti equals to 0. So that is our inertia force. Okay. So D'Alembert's principle. Resultant force are also equals to the inertia force. Okay. Now going to see that next topic, velocity and acceleration of the piston. So how we calculated the velocity and acceleration of the piston. So all of you observe that when we calculate the piston velocity and accelerations, let us take our IC engine. Okay, just we will see our IC engine piston velocity and accelerations. So it may also determine the two ways, analytical and graphical methods. Let us take the analytical method. So analytical method point of view, just all of you observe our diagram. Just all of you observe our diagram. All of you observe that. So crank is there. Okay, just we will take the slider crankchain mechanism here. So we may also give our some notations. Okay, the crank is also having with the radius of small r, and OA, it is represented with OA, and connecting rod AB, that length small l is there, and IDC is there. Just all of you observe that IDC and ODC. This side, left side is IDC and right side is ODC. And when the crank is rotated with angular velocity of omega, and the crank is rotated with the angular velocity of omega, and the OA is also translated to the OA1, OA1. Then the connecting rod A1B, AB is also translated, that means the A1B1, A1B1. So then here the angle between the our crank to the our okay axis, crank to the horizontal axis, that is the theta. It may also makes a theta angle between the our horizontal axis to the crank, and pi angle between the pi angle between the connecting rod to the horizontal axis. Okay, IDC center. And the displacement value here x, it may also calculated. Okay, we will calculate that value, x value. So before we'll calculated the x. Okay, when we calculated the x value, and simply to find out our velocity and accelerations. For getting that value, so just all of you observe that. For getting the value, just all of you observe that. Here one of the symbol represented here. So that is the theta equal, sorry, n equals to small n equals to L by R, small L equals to n by R. That representation is also here. So now all of you observe that when the crank is turned, when the crank is turned with the theta, then the distance moved by the piston rod AB, okay, is the AB is the position of connecting rod, and AO is the position of crank. AO is the position of crank. It is also translated to the OA. Okay, OA is shifted to the OA1, and AB is shifted to the A1B1. So then you will see the our value of x is given by x equals to B1B, that equals to B1O. It may also written as B1O minus BO. From that, just all of you observe the diagram. B1O, it may also written as B1O minus BO. So B1O is also written as B1A1 plus A1O. B1A1 plus A1O, and BO written as BC plus OC. B1A1 plus A1O is there, and B1C, sorry, BC plus CO. And B1A1 means already given the okay value, that is the L, and A1O means R, and BC plus CO is there. BC is also written as BA cos phi plus CO is written as AO cos theta. So BA means already known value, that is the L cos phi plus R cos theta. So here the equation is also multiplied and division with R. So that is the R by R into our equation. Okay. So later R into, okay, divisional with the our total equation. So that is the L by R plus 1 minus L by R cos phi plus cos theta. So R into L by R means known the value, n plus 1 minus n cos phi plus cos theta. So this is taken as the equation number 1. So here our x value displacement will have the two unknowns. Okay, so that is the theta is there and pi is there. So when we are having the two unknowns, it is not able to make the differentiation for getting the velocity and accelerations. So that's why they may also try to simplify the equation. So by the help of our particular equation, that is the cos pi equals to square root of 1 minus sin square pi. Am I right that? Why? Because sin square pi plus cos square pi equals to 1. From that, cos pi equals to square root of 1 minus sin square pi. In this triangle of ABC, from the triangle of ABC triangle is there. from the triangle of ABC, AC equals to BA sin pi, that equals to L sin pi, and from the triangle of AOC, AC equals to R sin theta. Okay, so that means both the triangles, triangle of ABC and triangle of AOC, both are having the one opposite. So this is also having the AC and this is also having the AC. Opposite side value of the triangle of ABC is the L sin pi, and opposite side of the AOC is the R sin theta. So L sin pi equals to R sin theta. L sin pi equals to R sin theta. So L sin pi equals to R by L sin theta. That means that is also written as sin theta by N. Just taken as the equation number 2. So we have the relation between the pi's and thetas. Now we are going to substitute these values in our equation, earlier equation. So that is the cos pi equals to square root of 1 minus sin theta by n whole square. So it may also written as n square minus sin square theta by n square. So when we simplify that, 1 by n into square root of n square minus sin square theta equation. Let us take the equation number 3. Just observe that cos pi is replacing with the value of 1 by n into square root of n square minus sin square theta. Okay. So substituted the value of cos pi in our equation number 1. So when we substituted that, x equals to r into n plus 1 minus n into 1 by n into square root of n square minus sin square theta plus cos theta. When we n cancelling here, so then r into the finally to get that r into 1 minus cos theta plus n minus square root of n square minus sin square theta. This is taken as the equation number 4. Taken as the equation number 4. Now n value, okay, in the above equation n equals to L by R, but condition is if the connecting rod is very large as compared to the crank, connecting rod is the very large as compared to the crank, then n square will be very large. So sin theta will be neglecting here. So when it will be neglecting, just all of you observe that x equals to r into 1 minus cos theta plus n minus the total equation will get the n only. So n cancelling here, okay, 0. So the remaining term is x equals to r into 1 minus theta. That is the, okay, displacement. Okay, x equals to r 1 minus cos theta, r into 1 minus cos theta. Okay, that is the value is there. Okay, now the session is going to be ending. Just all of you observe. I will also discuss later, okay, to the next topic. This topic will be continued to the next class.